This is challenge for me in English. Trisha, I'm very glad to see you. And may I say that you are almost 60 years old?
Да.
Unbelievable, incredible.
Сейчас 59 лет.
I asked you, can you show me please your passport?
Yes, I know. People ask me that all the time. And then, of course, I show them a legal document and they're like, this is not false. This is false. And I'm like, well, it's kind
That's
of a
not
legal
you,
document. Yeah. Yes, I know.
You are a real role model, a real inspiration for all of us.
Oh, thank you.
You have a strong body, well-defined. And how do you manage to do this?
You know, Rita, it's so funny because I've gotten asked this all my life. And for me, since I was a child, I was playing sports since age 7. Mm-hmm. And so for me, it's just a way of life. You know, I started playing soccer when I was 7 years old, which maybe, do you call it football here?
Yes.
Yes, football. So soccer from age 7, and then I played that for about 17 years, and then I got into running when I was 12, and I was running track and cross country, and then later in college, I was rowing crew and running still. I got into races like 5K, 10K, and then eventually the half marathon distance, and then marathon distance. And then when I was in my early 30s, I started the Ironman triathlon, which is, do you know what the Ironman triathlon is?
Yes, I know.
Run, bike, swim. For anyone who doesn't know what it is, it's, let's see in kilometers, it is a 3.8 kilometer swim, 180 kilometer bike, velocipede, and Birgit, 42.2 kilometers. Wow. So you combine all that in one day. And so I did that discipline for 10 years. And so for me, you know, it's funny, I was, when I was younger, I started modeling when I was 18. And Nike, I started modeling for Nike, I think I was around 25. Mm-hmm. And so when I was playing a lot of sports, I was actually into advertising. I was selling advertising outside of modeling, and people were always asking me, like, how do you stay so fit? What do you do? And so eventually then I got into training people, but it was because people were asking me questions all the time, and they said, you know, you really should get paid for this. But you know, when you're passionate about something, it's like the saying goes, like, when you're passionate about what you do, you never work a day in your life. And I so love what I do. I mean, now I coach and train people. I focus a lot on rehabilitation and corrective exercises because people just aren't taking care of their health, and educating them on the importance of sleep and nutrition and how to eat properly and how the eating for your hormones affect whether or not you gain weight or lose weight.
Yes.
So it's just, and then I train people for, you know, sports and rehab them also. But so it's always, my whole life has always been revolved around health and fitness. And so when people come and ask me, like, how did I get into this? I don't know. It's just a passion of mine since I was a child, you know, playing sports. And then I got more into rehabilitative stuff when I was constantly getting injured, when I was training the Ironman, racing the Ironman distance triathlon. And that's when I started learning more about studying physiotherapy and body work, and then really helping people, educating people on like the way the body works and the biomechanics, and to help them overcome, you know, some of the chronic injuries they were having. And so for me, it's like to be able to change people's life. You know, it's like such a gift. I think sometimes I get rewarded more than they do. But
you have such a well-defined body. But what impresses me even more is your energy.
People are always like, "You are so hyper." No, I don't drink a lot of coffee. I mean, I can go days without coffee. I do like to taste coffee, but I don't really need coffee. At least not for energy.
What would you tell people in their 40s and 50s who believe that it's too late to become healthy?
Honestly, it really is never too late. I've trained people. I had one client, she was 50 years old, never worked out in her life, and she wanted to do an Ironman distance race. And she was 50 years old and never worked out, you know. And I've worked with a lot of Russian clients where their way of life was never to work out. So I literally was starting with the base level, and it's a matter of putting in the time and then obviously the education that I provide them. So it's, if you say that it's too late, it's an excuse. It's not a reason. So,
Never late.
No, not until you're in the grave.
Okay.
I mean, they've even done studies that you can even put on muscle all the way to your mid-70s. And these are late, findings. For me, that's only 15 years away.
Many people start training, but eventually quit. What helped you stay consistent for decades?
It was never a matter of consistency because I started doing sports when I was 7 years old. So it was a way of life for me, like maybe drinking coffee for you in the morning or brushing your teeth. So it's not even a thought like, okay, do I stay consistent with this? And people don't understand that until they start working out and incorporate it as like a part of their day, and they realize like the benefits of what it brings to the day, how much more energy and more focus you have when you actually work out.
If you could speak to yourself at 30, what would you say about the body, health, and time?
So when I was 30, that was about the time when I first was introduced into the Ironman distance race. And I remember that very distinctly. We were at a barbecue up in Napa in California. And it was after many drinks, and all my friends that were racing the Ironman distance, they're like, okay, we're going to get you to do the Ironman distance. And maybe I wasn't correct in my mind, but I said, oh, that sounds fabulous. So the first one that I signed up for was Ironman Lake Placid in New York, which is where the Olympics were. And it's in the Adirondack Mountains, and it's completely hilly. And I hate cycling. I'm a runner. And it was like absolutely miserable. So I kept chasing the dream of like Ironman for 10 years. I ended up training for, I think, 5 Ironman. Gosh, I don't even remember. But, and I was never, even though I did have an Ironman coach at one point, and I was coached for one by Dave Scott, who is the Ironman world champion. He's an icon in the sport. He's one of the original athletes, 6-time Ironman winner. Yeah, amazing human.
Yes.
But I never was training correctly because I wanted to do it my way, and I was always getting injured. And so I think if I were to look back when I was 30 and racing Ironman distance, and then I think I was also doing marathons then, I was always wanting to do it my way and not wanting to rest and recover. And so I think now that I understand the importance of training properly and resting and recovering, I actually have better results now. So I think I would have said to my 30-year-old self, like, take a break and let your body recover instead of go 6 days a week. The one thing I did do correct is I was getting a massage body work once a week. And
I think it's your passion to sport.
Yeah, and I wanted to keep up with my friends that were cyclists, and I hated cycling.
Yeah.
But I would say to actually listen to my body more then, because I kept driving it, and then I'd get injured, and then I'd be mad at myself for getting injured, and then I was set back for so it was just like an ongoing cycle.
Your head. How do you stay connected to your body during difficult or exhausting periods?
I always make my health the number one priority. And as I'm always traveling internationally almost every month for work or for races, I'm always jet lagged. For instance, when I'm going to California, I must get up at 3 o'clock in the morning because I'm working online with Europe and New York, East Coast. And so the number one thing that is a priority for me, and that is a priority, and if you want to live a healthy lifestyle, is you have to prioritize sleep. Because sleep is actually, and a lot of people don't know this, but they think they go to the gym or they go running and they're building muscle. It is absolutely false. Muscles are built during sleep when they regenerate, they repair, and tissue is repaired during sleep. And muscles are built not during exercise. So what I do is I make sure that my body is hydrated. I make sure that I try to get on the time zone as quickly as possible, but sleep is the number one priority. So a lot of times that means I'm going to bed at 7 o'clock. And I know a lot of people are like, oh my God, you go to bed at 7. And I'm like, I'm also getting up at 3, you know. So I'm like a stockbroker. I'm like working stockbroker hours. But to deal with the stress of traveling and time change, the number one thing besides sleep is to make sure that you are exercising and that you're eating a healthy diet, and drinking water, because you have to remember that our bodies are made up of 60 to 70% water, 80%. And that's what promotes energy, right? It's like oil for a car. It makes everything more efficient. In fact, I think they said in studies that you burn 30% more calories because when you're hydrated, because everything's just working more efficiently. So I make sure that my body's hydrated and I'm fueling, F-U-E-L-I-N-G, fueling my body with proper nutrition. And so that's what, keeps me going, aside of exercise as well. But I listen to my body. If I'm like super tired and super jet lagged, then I don't work out,
I think it's very important.
Yeah, And like your earlier question about when I was 30, I'm so much better now about listening to my body. If it needs to sleep, then I let it sleep. If I don't have the energy to work out, which is like 0.01%.
Okay, no problem.
0.01% that ever happens. But if it does occasionally happen, then I just say, you know what, we take today off.
And last question, Trisha.
Yes.
What does it mean for you today to live fully in your body?
It's funny, Rita, because it's so much different than when I was younger. Again, I think when you're younger, you just, you want to just push and push and push and go, and you don't listen, you don't really value health because you're young, but now as I'm approaching 60 in the next few months, September 11th, in case anyone wants to wish me happy birthday. I prioritize my health, which is not only just physical exercise or what you're eating, but it's also mental and it's emotional. I stay away from situations and people that aren't positive. Negativity, I'm allergic to that. Every day we have stressful situations, but it's how you navigate it, So I think I really pay attention to all aspects of health and wellness in the year of 2026, which encompasses diet and exercise and sleep and mental wellness and emotional wellness. And I think if you tie all those together, that you will live a more harmonious and peaceful life. So no, it's not just about exercise. Everyone wants me to just say, just do this, just exercise 3 times a week, but it's so much more than that. And
I see.
So
Thank
that's
you
what I've
very
learned
much,
in my almost 60 years.
Trisha, thank you very much.
Oh, darling. And let's see. Я изучаю русский язык сейчас, но, может быть, let's see, следующий раз, может быть, я говорю очень хорошо по-русски по людей здесь.
I hope.
Yeah. You're going to be like, your Russian is very poor. I try. So hopefully next time we can do the full interview
Our conversation will be in Russian.
Да. So
I believe in it.
Спасибо большое. That's another thing. That's another thing too, is that I'm always stimulating my mind. So I'm learning, I work with a Russian and a French tutor, and I think it's very important, especially as like Alzheimer's and dementia is like one of the number causes of death. So always like keeping your mind alert and learning, I think is so important. So many people stop learning, once they finish university. And for me, it's always an ongoing process. Every day I want to be a better version than I was the day before.
Yes.
And that entails also like learning 2 languages. So,
okay.
Rita, thank you so much. And I hope that I brought some value to your followers.
Yes, thank you, Trisha. From all my heart.
Of course.
And let's do photos.